Good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears podcast. I'm Aeson, and of course I'm with the techie with the mostest, Techie Joe. How are you, honey?
I'm doing well.
You're freezing already.
Oh no, am I freezy?
You're back from not being freezy. Hello, Miss Brenda. How are you?
Hey, Brenda.
You know, we're going to take on this story. It's very light and fluffy, and then we're going to dig into some more harder topics. But doesn't it suck when you have to go to your competitor to send smoke signals to your users?
Well, especially after so many people have left that competitor
Mm-hmm.
for other pastures.
Blue skies, maybe.
Anywhere, literally anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So Twitter was the lovely place in which Facebook had to tell everyone what was going on with Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp
Mm-hmm.
as it went down on Wednesday.
Yeah, and it didn't go down pretty. It went down very hard.
It went down in that way of like, has my account been deleted? Have I been hacked? Like, what is going on?
Did I actually get like triggered? And they finally did delete our account.
Am I banned? Like, what happened? Is it like a 30-day? Like, what happened? Because okay, guys, I have to tell you, it's one thing if you just have a personal Facebook account and you just go into your Facebook and you're a member of groups, you are maybe on a business page for the business you own. But when your Facebook is tied to multiple brands and multiple groups as an admin, that moment when your Facebook goes down, panic sets in. Like, what is this? What's going on? Like, I have two-factor authentication. Like, this should be secure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm following best practices. What the hell happened to my Facebook?
Right. And see, here's the problem: is a lot of businesses use WhatsApp as their main communication. Most of my foreign companies, we have a WhatsApp channel.
Mm-hmm.
It crashed miserably.
Yes. And artistic nudes were briefly down.
Right.
Because Instagram.
Right.
I'm just saying.
I know.
It was the middle of the day. People were on lunch.
Right.
They needed to scroll Instagram.
Right.
Like, it's unacceptable de-stressing.
Right.
I'm sorry, I've got a joke about it.
Well, it's acceptable to joke about it. It's acceptable to be funny about it. It's acceptable to be scary about it. But, maybe Facebook should update and come over to Blue Sky with the rest of us. Because we abandoned X like, the X Factor.
Yes. Like, Mystic still technically has a Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, it's a business account. I'm going to leave it. I don't actually interact with it.
Right.
But it's like, just for like parking the name.
Right.
I will let that account exist in perpetuity.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know that X still has corporate users like Facebook. Yes. After everyone else with a conscience abandoned them.
Right.
But of course, Facebook does enjoy a good AI model.
Mm-hmm. They do.
And that was part of the mass exodus from X. Was right before their terms and conditions updated.
Mm-hmm.
To allow them to use your Twitter, because I refuse to call them.
Right.
But to use your Twitter data to train AI models.
Right.
And I'm like, go ahead, use the Mystic account, have fun with that.
Right.
I have noticed this very quiet account because I wasn't even using it all that much before all this.
Right.
Not really doing anything with it now. But this quiet little account that I could almost forgot existed,
Right.
has suddenly blown my phone up.
Oh, really?
I am being followed by every chatbot that can find me.
Right.
And I'm like, are y'all serious? Like, this is okay.
Yeah.
Why?
That's what you want to do.
Like, spicy choices.
Well, spicy choices are cute. Bullshit choices are not.
True.
And if you're wondering why Aeson looks like he's not paying attention, it's because he isn't at the moment. He's posting over in Blue Sky that we are live.
Yay, because he remembered he had one?
Oh, I've had one. I was part of beta test. Like, I was one of the first over there.
I literally opened, and I still don't think I've posted, or if I haven't hardly posted anything. Yeah. On a personal Blue Sky account. Because I didn't even bother creating a business one yet, because I was like, I don't know that I'm loving social media for Mystic. I
know you're not. I need to take it over and be a little bit bitchier with it. All right, guys, there is my Blue Sky profile if you would like to go over there.
Oh, Brenda's got 2 people I follow on Blue Sky.
Well, you can now follow 3.
3.
And someone apparently is in baby mode and he's burped.
Don't burp the cat. Don't ever burp a cat. I've seen what cats do without human intervention. Let's not encourage it.
Go somewhere. There we go. Thank you.
Take a perch.
Not on me.
Fix his hair.
No, don't do that either. All right. So now that we've talked about Facebook failing yet again.
Yes.
And it did take them some time to get up.
Yeah, they were down for a good solid hour or so.
At least. And this is major.
Yeah. Yes. And very inconsistent. Like, I couldn't do anything on desktop, but mobile worked.
Right.
Like, what? But there were a lot of people that could also not get mobile or were mobile affected only. So it was very la la la. Yes, Devin.
They did.
Yes.
They have banned the. And the reason we haven't talked about this story is because we know there's legal action coming. And we don't want to give you the half bag. We want to give you the full bag.
Yeah. I knew this was blowing up when you were watching it, though, on him at Meta.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, fuck. West Virginia made him at Meta. Damn.
Yes, we saw it. But when there are developing stories, we let them bake fully. And, him at Meta covered it. It's been in a few newspapers. And apparently, and we've seen this out of Parkersburg. Now, Parkersburg had to get taught. If we roll back about, I don't know, well, we've been together 8 years. So if we go back 10 years, they had to get taught terror wasn't evil. And you couldn't ban tarot readers in your city. And apparently the mayor there just loves having the ACLU. Like, ACLU should just set up an office right next to his so they can just save the travel from Washington.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It would make sense, yeah.
Right. And it would have made sense to say, no, you can't have a Krampus with whips and chains and trying to steal children off the side, throwing a sack.
Mm-hmm.
It would have made sense if it was, some full altar with blaming cauldrons and all that. No, this was a freaking Christmas tree with 2 gnomes.
Yeah. Nothing crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't like the group because it is not a directly, clearly, obviously Christian organization.
Right.
Or completely unattached to any religious preference.
Right.
Though anymore, the default for most businesses is going to be, we're a Christian operated business, owned and operated. Because welcome to West Virginia, this is the crap you deal with.
Right.
Like, if you cross into the state of West Virginia, you will notice "In God We Trust" on the back of a police car.
Right. And what he majorly pointed out is they kept saying, well, this ain't being ran by the city, then why your mayor putting a comment into it? But, you know.
Yeah, and that's the fundamental flaw in all of this is it's not being run by the city, but it's being run by the city. So you like, it's one of those moments, if you're gonna like try to like go around like, this isn't a city function, and run it through like a straw organization or a straw committee or whatever, you got to lock in on that.
Right.
Like, you can't have your mayor front and center as your mouthpiece, because okay, is it a city event or is it not a city event?
Right.
Like, pick one, in or out.
Right.
Like, alrighty. Oh.
Yeah, apparently, you know, the Parkersburg mayor, Tom Joyce. Hi, Joycey. How are you, you dumbass? He's one of the ones he's the one that made the decision to decline the endeavor, citing potential legal issues. Really? Yeah, there are a number of legal issues. But it's a volunteer grant thing.
Like, what legal issus were you thinking? Well, and then it got worse. Like, you know, talk about doubling down on your damages.
Right.
Was to then I know we're getting into the half-baked story, but y'all brought it up. We're gonna go there. But then that wasn't enough.
Right.
You then had to spread a rumor that the Satanists were going to come after you.
Right.
So they were going to disrupt the parade and vandalize and it's like, have you met Donna?
Yeah.
Have you met Donna?
Right.
Like, I'm sure you're going to go into her cauldron in a naughty list sort of way, but show up and destroy your shit? No. Not, no. No, sweetheart. No. Yeah. This is not, like, I'm sorry. Are you still thinking it's the 80s and satanic panic is a thing?
Yes.
Like, really? Like, like, I'm sorry, but no. And that's like a part of the APM thing.
Right.
And that is not, like, they are not a group of Satanists. The fact that you can't tell the difference between Wiccans, pagans, Satanists, and other non-Christian organizations is a you problem.
Right.
First of all. Two, Satanists really got a bad rap.
Right.
Like, they are not.
And again, this one is another reason he just won his third term. This is another reason that elected officials should be held to 2 terms. That's it.
Yeah. Well, but in some cities, like, he will ride that post until natural causes take him from this planet.
Right.
And I've seen it happen. I've seen mayors that are just like, I've been the mayor for 30 years. And there's some small towns where it kind of makes sense. Like if your population's under 1,000, I could see that happening. You know what I mean? It's kind of okay. There wasn't a real big contention for the, you know, like we'll just keep the mayor. I get it. You know, so like retired jocks got to do something. You know, but yeah.
Right.
Parkersburg's a little bigger than that.
Right.
Just saying.
Right. Yeah, but you know, there's been like this is ridiculous. You know, she spends most of the year on the road, going from prison to prison to prison, and his whole thing is, oh my God, they run a non-Christian based recovery program.
Yeah, so basically AA without God.
Right. Which AA should be without God. Like it's not designed to be Christian.
Well, actually it is. AA is totally set up, and I will argue this to the end of the world. You are replacing one addiction with another. You are replacing a substance abuse problem with a God and Jesus reliance problem. And for some people that works, and that's great. It is a successful program. I'll leave it there. But for some people, it's, I don't want to say it's worse. It's less personally destructive. But for some people, like they get so deep into the like, wow.
Well, see, that's the problem. And what I mean by the problem is if you go about basic tenets, it isn't.
Right. But the way it's usually implemented.
Right.
You know, in Catholic church basements all over the country.
Right. That's where the problem comes in. But yeah, AA tells you your higher power can be anything. Yes, and that's the way it's been. That's the basic text. Granted, AA isn't the only way to get clean and sober. There are some that have other things that occur and other practices and medical induction or other things that can do it, like rules. And I back all of it.
Honestly, find anything that works for you. I don't care what it is. I will be okay with it. I'm not trying to totally trash the concept. I just have found that it's, and I guess this is a valid commentary, that I do need to like embrace and take in, is the more Christian implementation of AA. Tends to basically create or take a substance abuse problem and turn it into a God dependence. And it's like, whoa. Like, careful with that, because you're just doing a, you know, substance abuse to like being abused by the church, and setting it up as your almighty, like life controller. And I take issue with that. Like, I appreciate if you're not abusing substances, I really do. I don't necessarily like when people get exploited for their vulnerabilities and put into a situation where they are then totally reliant. Because that starts to get a little culty.
Well, that does get a little culty. That does get a little complicated. But again, that's bastardizing the original system.
So I definitely accept the criticism, and you were absolutely right. I am talking about it too broadly. So I need to put a Christianity TM next to the AA when I'm talking about it in that context. So yeah. I got you.
Yeah. Like, they've been very inclusive. They are who they are. It is what it is. But at the same time, it's one of those things that it's like, they need to stop it. And what I mean by that is AA is great. If it works, it works for you. If it doesn't work, then great. There's other means and logistics and modalities and situations.
Mhm.
Uh, and, we get a very glamorized Hollywood version. It's like I'm supposed to be green and have bobbling cauldrons and flying monkeys. Personally, with the flying monkeys, because they can get the housekeeping for me. Maybe I can teach them to do some social media.
Oh, sweetheart, these are going to be your flying monkeys. They'll just fling poo and make it worse.
True, and we'll probably smoke cigars and drink beers, but that's not the point.
Meanwhile, on the green thing, they haven't always seen you without makeup.
True, very true. You have though.
But there's a hint of green.
Especially if I ain't got makeup on. I'll give you that one. So anyhow, with that, I need to mark that as a site. Add the
Go support Appalachian Pagan Ministry.
Yes.
Please.
Yes. And to participate in this, I think it was 14 perishable foods.
15.
15 perishable foods. I don't know. Maybe we need to make some major donations to the food pantries up there. All in that name.
And be like, oh, we're not allowed to attend the parade, but here's the fact that people exist.
Exactly. Here's the fact that we actually do shit. So
I'm gonna drop out that link for Appalachian Pagan Ministry and go check out their website, see how quote unquote horrible they are. They are not.
Right.
And if you could make even a $5 donation,
right.
I will guarantee you that money will help so much.
So much. Because they're doing the recovery program, they're doing the reentry programs, they're sitting on a number of boards, they're going into the prisons. Much more than, most of the Christian pastors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they do go in, they help a lot of people. They
right.
Oh my God, the work that it takes. And it's not just they do a Buddhist recovery, a Hindu recovery, cosmology recovery, satanic recovery, rational satanic. Keep that in mind. Celtic pagans. There's a pagan 12 steps. Those are their resources. And what they actually do, just to go with their little summation, addressing the needs of those of non-Abrahamic faiths that are currently incarcerated, sending in literature and study material via snail and electronic mail, DVDs to chaplains, and online classes. Continued participation in local and national reentry councils and commissions, continued support in the recovery community, facilitate bi-weekly street outreach, providing hot meals, hygiene products, and harm reduction supplies, facilitate weekly, you're going to have to pronounce that because, it's a heathen recovery program. We'll go with that. Meetings online and in person. Helveger? Is that right? Heilvegr. That's one I'm not used.
I have to see it.
Okay, I will copy it and chat it.
Give me a minute. I can go over because I have the other one open.
I mean, it's not like I didn't just drop a link in.
Well, I know, but the link isn't active for us.
True that.
Havigic Heathen Recovery Program, meeting online and in person. So, they're doing the good work. I'd love to see Christian organizations do as much as they do.
Yeah. Donna works her ass off.
She does.
I will never feel bad about promoting her Appalachian Pagan Ministry. We try to do that every chance we get. I don't think we've done it enough. Quite frankly, I would almost be happy to just run a banner so we never forget.
Right. All right. So I'm not sure what's going on in Florida schools, but this one doesn't sound like it should be going on there.
Well, there's a lot of jokes about wanting to get stuffed on Thanksgiving. But no, bro, trespassing teacher with drugs and sex toys breaks into school, punches deputy. So this story is coming to us from MSN. And so Joe Urias had himself quite a Thanksgiving night that eventually landed him in a jail cell. Quote, the more it unfolded, the weirder it got, remarked St. Lucie County Deputy Eric Holbert. Holbert lives at Windmill Point Elementary as one of the several deputies that live on school grounds in the county. Last Thursday night, the deputy spotted Urias, who is now former teacher at Somerset College Preparatory Academy, naked inside the school. Holbert says when Urias saw him, he tried to grab his clothes and run. Quote, I identified myself. I held both of my hands up and said, Deputy Sheriff, stop. And he said, no, bro, and tried to run through me. Holbert told CBS 12 News. We tussled a little bit. He hit me right here in the lip. I hit him in the jaw, and I was able to hold him with a jujitsu's seatbelt grip. Urias is believed to have broken into the school through a window, triggering a silent alarm and police response. It ensured that the perimeter was secure, inspected the grounds, didn't find any forced entry or signs of burglary, and they cleared it at that point, explained Port St. Lucie Police Chief Leo Nimitz. The deputy living on campus remained behind and then had the occasion to observe this man inside the school. Urias wasn't just naked inside the school. Law enforcement says he had marijuana and sex toys in the classroom. He had also created a makeshift bed. There's a large pillow that kids sleep on. There was some sort of stain on that. He was naked when I saw him, Holbert recalled. But why was Urias there? Quote, he said that he was homeless and that he has been, what he has been doing is teaching at his school and then hanging out at a Starbucks and then sleeping in the public wherever he can, the deputy shared. He knew this week that schools were out, so he was going to break into the school and stay there for the week. Thankfully, Deputy Holbert and Port St. Lucie Police put a stop to this troubling situation. The vulgarity, I don't even want to get into his mind and think about what he was thinking about, Chief Nimitz said. I have no explanation for what he was doing. Urias remains in the St. Lucie County Jail, far away from any school classroom. What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. There's so many levels of weird and creepy. And I understand that, I guess if you're a teacher, it may not be as weird as it sounds to someone who is only ever a student. That right. It's a class, it's a room. It's just a physical space.
Right.
That it involves children on a normal daily basis, except when it is closed.
Right.
But I think that's the challenge that most people are going to face, is trying to separate out the mental image of a school and children and all this from the realities of it's a physical building. An adult was in it who was just trying to take care of his homelessness, and was being totally inappropriate in a public situation because it is a public building. Even though he was not exposing himself to children directly, I think this is one of those stories that has a lot of shock value.
Right.
Despite the fact that, if we were talking about a teacher in their home, an actual home, this may not be as shocking. The marijuana might be a little, but again, I think if you deal with kids all day, as a teacher, and deal with them appropriately, I can definitely understand why someone might want some marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can follow that.
Yeah, but not in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of this should have been in a school. I hope they throw that pillow away.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a, we don't even, no, we're just gonna sanitize this room.
Right.
Like, nope,
Right.
nope, 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 nope.
Right.
Like, I'm not even sure you could replace it with one that looked like anything like it
Mm-hmm.
and not have a, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like that is break out the Clorox wipes and just,
Well, they have that system.
oh, what now?
Ooh. They have a system that can completely clean that hermetically. Interesting. Sad
Yes,
that
have
their
their
teachers
teachers
are hopeless.
should definitely be talking about teacher wages. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that is an unfortunate situation for anyone to be in, especially a teacher. I Even if you're a crappy human being, it's still a hard job. You know what I mean? Like, even if you want to call this guy like the worst teacher ever, it's still a hard job.
Right.
Like,
And they do have the low Florida rates 50th in the United States for the average teacher's pay. The only with only West Virginia ranking lower.
yeah. Meanwhile, he was at a preparatory academy,
Which is a
and
private
something
school.
tells me that's worse.
Yeah.
Like, I can't see this being a step up.
No.
Because usually, because I remember in another story that was referred to as a private school,
Mm-hmm.
and typically those are worse.
Right.
In terms of pay.
Right.
But I'm curious to see if they have any posted job openings since they just lost an employee.
Right.
And if they give any idea what they're paying.
Right.
To try to help understand. Because now Florida, the other thing with Florida, okay, employment opportunities, is that housing there has skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm.
So it is definitely a struggle for about anyone, and they don't actually have any positions. They have an employment application page, but you have to know there's a position.
Right.
Um, so let me see if I can actually get to a job posting. News. Come on, there's got to be a job opening. Is that going to just take me right back where I was? Yep.
Yep.
Oh, they've got a jobs on Indeed.
Yeah.
That is Florida. School security guard, aftercare counselor, campus security, aftercare teacher, $14 to $22 an hour as a teacher.
Mm-mm.
$14 to $22 an hour.
Right.
World history teacher from $48,500 a year. Let's see, $49,000 for a French Creole English as a second language facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
$50,000 for a high school math teacher.
Mm-hmm.
$50,000 for a third grade math teacher. So about $50,000 is all they're paying.
Right.
Like 48 to 50 seems to be their top end.
Mm-hmm.
My God. In Florida, where I'm sure that is garbage pay at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Median income Florida. Well, West Palm Beach. Median income is $71,000. That's your median. That's what everything's going to be geared towards.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking thousands below that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they can afford live-in security. Well, see, this is the problem. There's 2 schools involved. He
Right.
was teaching at Somerset Academy, but had previously been a teacher at the school that he was arrested at.
Right.
So yeah. Well, see, I don't think it's they can afford live-in security for the school. I think the police officers are also so underpaid. They're taking positions for the housing.
Right.
Like it's a perk to live on the school grounds.
Right.
Because I'd say it's a school that was chartered with existing properties, and they have made some kind of housing out of them.
Right.
So yeah, they get a benefit. They give police preferential treatment in getting the housing for the security benefit, and it's a mutually beneficial.
Right.
But yeah. So I'm curious what the setup is at Windmill Point Elementary. I feel like I'm gonna go on a watch list for this, but I'm just curious in a map scenario if like it may not even be that complex, but can I get a satellite? Trying to see. Yeah, it looks like there might be a building they've turned into there's a few different buildings that look like they could be housed.
Right.
Including one.
Most likely, this is probably an old Catholic school that the county has took over.
Yeah, that would kind of sound like potentially what it is, because this looks like a very sprawling building. Like it was a building, and then it grew, and then they did another addition. And so, yeah, it looks like it's a lot of things at this point.
Right.
Like there's a maintenance garage and all that stuff. But then it looks like at like the edge of the property, there's a few little small houses. Right. And it looks like, and it may be a totally independent property. It looks like there is yet another larger house that multiple people would be living in. So literally, they're hiring police officers and then giving them a knock-on, benefit of, well, you can go live on the school property, and they'll cut you a deal on rent.
Right.
So it's the cheapest place as a police officer in Port St. Lucie you can live.
Right.
You
and
just
get a job.
Well, and all you have to do is just keep an eye on the school and, keep a radio on for police reports and just go walk over and run off the van.
Right.
Shouldn't be a very involved, job. Most people should get the hint. There's police officers that live here. Don't screw it. Just leave the school alone.
Right.
Oh, yeah, not taking up for the ex-teacher, that was still messed up. Yeah. But I think that's the commentary you can make on this one is as many problems as he obviously has.
Right.
You can't separate them from the fact that a lot of that's going to be income dependent.
Right.
Especially in an area that, like, what he is making potentially is useless.
Right.
That if he has any, of course he's going to have student loans. Most teachers do, and they're quite hefty. Housing could be a major problem.
Right.
Because quite frankly, even at gross, if he gets to take home every single last dime, of 50,000 a year. Let's assume he's on the high end. He's a math teacher, whatever, I don't know. But let's assume he's getting the the highest pay we saw on a position. And he literally were to take home every dime of 50,000, that's 41.66 a month.
Right.
Something tells me he doesn't qualify for housing.
Right.
He makes too much to qualify as being indigent. He doesn't make enough to clear an application for housing.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what's next on our radar?
All right. So unidentified drone spotted over U.S. air base in Germany, report says. So German security authorities reportedly flagged numerous sightings over Ramstein and sensitive industry locations. So unidentified drones have been sighted over sensitive industry locations at the U.S. air base at Ramstein in Germany in recent weeks. Das Spiegel news magazine reported on Friday, citing a confidential report by German security authorities. The report flagged numerous drone sightings made in the evening hours of the 3rd and 4th of December over the air base, according to Das Spiegel. The security source told Reuters the report on drone sightings over Ramstein was correct. The German Defense Ministry declined to comment on the report.
Right.
German intelligence chiefs have warned that the country's support for Ukraine in its war with Russia makes it a target of possible sabotage attempts, with recent security incidents at military barracks raising alarm further. Das Spiegel also noted unexplained drone sightings over locations belonging to the German arms manufacturer Rheinmetall and the chemicals group BASF. The safety of BASF sites is our top priority, a company spokesperson said in an emailed statement. We therefore keep an eye on suspicious activities at all times and work closely with the relevant security authorities. Rheinmetall did not immediately respond to an emailed request for comment. So,
well, what's interesting is then we flip over to New Jersey, and there are mysterious drones floating all over the place up there.
Well, and there's been reports, I think, all over the U.S. at this point of like random drone sightings or purported drone sightings that are then being called, at least on the U.S. side, then being called people are being told they're actual aircraft.
Right.
And people are going, actual aircraft doesn't fly like that.
Exactly. Now, the senator for New Jersey called for him to be shot down. The FBI is like, shut up.
Yes.
You don't want to do that.
More importantly, no, that's a public discharge of firearms. Please do not do that. Additionally, you will get into trouble because even if it is a drone, even if it is a commercial drone, even if and especially if it is a private drone,
right?
That will still make you in violation of the FAA.
Right.
Like, you do not want to F around and find out what happens when you shoot into airspace at what is considered an aircraft.
Right.
You will have federal authorities on your ass.
Well, again, and we're not sure what it is. It's not being released. Who's doing it? They're not even sure if it is real airplanes, real drones, and it's like, or unidentified objects. As much as I urge you to share any relevant information about these drone sightings with the public, without transparency, I believe the rumors, fears, and misinformation will continue to spread, he said. Now, I will remind people who have not took their gun and shot it, you do not shoot projectiles up because they must come down. And they can be coming down in someone's bedroom.
And when you shoot objects that are flying, they also tend to come down, like if you hit them,
Yes.
And may also land in someone's house, living room, bedroom, or anywhere else.
Right.
Not to mention if you're not aware of the long range physics,
Right.
like the Earth is curved.
Right.
When you shoot, so is the projectile path of a gun.
Exactly.
So please don't.
Please don't follow this senator that's
Please.
apparently never shot a gun in the air. The FBI said remains engaged with our federal, state, and local and tribal partners to share information to protect the public. It added that any drones that pose danger to any aircraft or be observed operating in restricted airspace or near critical infrastructure and other sensitive sites can be reported to the FBI. 1-800-CALL-FBI, i.e. 1-800-225-5324, or online at tips.fbi.gov. I think we got some major spy missions going on personally.
I don't know. I'm not sure what this is. Because currently no one's really stepping forward to be like, hi.
Yeah.
Like either in a spy sense, like, oh, like Chinese send over air balloons. They're like, I'm sorry, that was us. It's just a scientific mission. Don't worry about those balloons. They're not doing anything. They're checking atmospheric conditions. Okay,
yeah, right at our air bases. You want to try again?
Like, seems sus, but yeah. All right, interesting. So no one's stepping forward in any kind of we're spying on you capacity, or we might have released something into your airspace and it's not for spying. It's for this other totally legitimate, completely non-spying thing. No one's stepping forward like that. No one is stepping forward in any aggressive capacity. No one is stepping forward in any like, hi, we're testing, this is not, so far it appears at least, this is not like an Amazon deployment of like test drones for delivery of packages. Like nothing is being populated like that. And God knows if it were Elon Musk, he would have probably posted to Twitter about it. By now.
With pictures and bragging. Okay. And we're not even sure what the capabilities of these drones are because they can carry weapons.
Well, if they're drones, if they're not aircraft, and again, the problem with if they're aircraft, they should be popping up somewhere. Like you're flying in airspace and you're not a drone. You should have to file a flight plan, shouldn't you?
Yes. Every airplane should have to file a flight plan. Every drone in New Jersey is required to be registered with the FAA.
Well, especially once you get to a certain altitude. Like you're not just a drone anymore. Like you're not a cute little kid toy. You're now actively, and then there are rules for that. Like, and I know it's Christmas. I know drones are probably still going to be popular on Christmas wish lists. Please understand. There are rules. This is not just a toy. Like there's the little micro ones that only fly up like 5-6 feet. You can technically play with them in a house. Don't suggest it. Things get broken. But you could. That have a range of like 20 feet around you that whatever, you're probably not going to suffer any consequences. As you get bigger, and I'm seriously talking about something the size of a coffee mug or smaller, like basically a pill bottle size. Those cute, fun gift, no one gets hurt, they last like a day, kid gets immense enjoyment and then cries. Then there are slightly bigger units. When you start moving into the bigger units with more capacity, you start entering into needing to know things like FAA altitude maximums and where you can fly at, and do you have to register it, and What is the interference issues with the remote radio controller? And
Right.
you do not cross people's property lines. You do not want to fly this on private property.
Mm-hmm.
You do not want to do that, or over private property, because especially if it has a camera or audio recording ability. Be
Right.
very careful. You will make a potentially expensive Christmas present really more expensive.
Yes, yes, especially if you fly it into naval airspace.
They're cool. They're fun. I think they're an amazing invention, but it's not exactly a kid's toy.
Right.
Like you don't buy this for your 10-year-old. Buy the stupid cheap one that flies a few feet and is fun.
Right.
Don't go full on.
Right.
Like it's the $500, $600, oh my God, drone.
Right.
Not for a 10-year-old. That is an older teen
Mm-hmm.
at best.
Right.
And watch for adults.
Right.
Like, that's not a drunken toy.
No.
All right.
All right. So with that, let's take on the tech news, and we're going to go with AT&T. Many of the new millennials and zennials and all those will never understand that lovely tone, but AT&T has made a decision.
All right. So AT&T refuses to upgrade millions of DSL customers to fiber, despite untold billions in taxpayer subsidies and government favors. 4 years ago, AT&T, a company that for years cheapened out of upgrading its broadband lines to fiber, effectively stopped selling DSL. While that's understandable given the limitations of the dated copper-based tech, the problem is that thanks to concentrated telecom monopolization, many of these customers were left without any replacement options due to a lack of competition. There are other issues at play too. AT&T has, for decades, received countless billions in tax cuts, subsidies, merger approvals, and regulatory favors. Remember how killing net neutrality, broadband privacy rules, or approving a wave of doomed mergers were all supposed to unleash untold innovation, job creation, and fiber network expansion? Yeah, AT&T doesn't either. In many states, AT&T has managed to lobby lawmakers into removing any requirement that the company continue servicing these users, many of whom are elderly folks still using traditional landlines used for 911 access. That's been easier in some states than others. It was caught bribing Illinois lawmakers to pass such reform. California has also been resistant to letting AT&T off the hook. Last week, AT&T more formally announced that it was already clear. What was already clear? It stated it would not be upgrading tens of millions of copper-based phone and DSL customers to fiber. The numbers aren't insignificant. Quote, AT&T's wireline footprint has 88 million locations, said Susan Johnson, an AT&T executive VP in charge of supply chain and wireline transformation. About 21 million of those have access only to voice service. The other 67 million are eligible for internet access, and 29 million of those have access to fiber already. AT&T plans to boost its number of fiber locations to 45 million by the end of 2029, but says it isn't profitable enough to build fiber to the other parts of its old landline phone and DSL networks. Again, when AT&T says it's going to deploy fiber to 45 million people, you should always take these promises with a grain of salt. They're experts at something I affectionately call fiber to the press release. AT&T insists that less affordable, more expensive, and more capacity-constrained satellite or wireless will have to be good enough for users left out of or left just out of reach. It's essential to note that AT&T has received untold billions of dollars in subsidies and tax breaks in exchange for near utopian promises of new fiber deployment. It received $42 billion alone from the last set of Trump tax cuts. It has spent untold millions of dollars lobbying to successfully defang the FCC and eliminate whatever's left of consumer protections. It has been accused of ripping off low-income programs for the poor and rural school broadband projects. Nobody's ever done an audit of AT&T's fraud, waste, and abuse because AT&T is a trusted domestic surveillance partner. Effectively immune from meaningful government accountability, AT&T is about to get a major chunk of the $42.5 billion in broadband subsidies included in the 2021 infrastructure bill. Ars Technica kind of just floats over all of this, as if it's kind of an afterthought. The problem isn't just that AT&T has refused to upgrade millions of locations, despite already getting paid for it. It's also been at the forefront of lobbying for state laws banning towns and cities from building their own affordable fiber networks, even in instances where AT&T refused to. So superficially, you'll see people say things like, of course AT&T doesn't want to spend money to upgrade aging lines to fiber. It's expensive. But they ignore a very long history of the company endlessly defrauding taxpayers, ripping off subsidy programs, and just generally taking untold billions of dollars for networks that routinely, mysteriously, wind up half completed.
If at all.
This is like, do y'all realize how old this problem is?
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all realize how old this problem is? This shit started in the 90s. In the 90s, your local towns and cities wanted to build municipal Wi-Fi, cover the whole town in broadband.
Mm-hmm.
And one fucking telco after another went, no! And we have spent decades paying for it.
Oh, I'm liking Brenda's comments on all of this. So the mothership forgot to file a flight plan.
And maybe Santa's checking fit his naughty and nice list, or checking out his naughty or checking for his naughty and nice list. Fair enough.
But at the same time,
Santa's got drones.
I think Santa needs to put AT&T definitely on the naughty list. As they continue to
on the naughty list?
Well,
for so long.
I know, but they continue to up their prices to their consumers. They're cutting back consumers.
And I'm still confused. I thought we broke up Ma Bell. How did we get back Ma Bell? Like, it feels like we're just back to AT&T as Ma Bell again.
Well, we are getting Ma Bell back because Ma Bell, even though they're different names, is still Ma Bell.
How did we end up here? That you're just gonna turn and look at like millions of customers and be like, no. I know that we received tons of money to make this happen for you on the promise that we would make this happen for you. And that all we have continued to do is up our rates while promising that money is to do this exact thing.
All right.
And now, when we're supposed to be delivering, we're going, not a good financial position for us. I'm sorry, what financial position? We gave you the money.
Right.
You were given the money. You were given tax cuts to do this. You were given all the things to do this. And you're just like, shareholders.
Right.
And what kills me, they will come back probably later this year or next year or a year or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 from now. And we'll do it again.
Right.
And some group of stupid legislators
Right.
will sit there and go, okay, we should totally give them more money to do the thing.
Right.
Because the poor, unfortunate AT&T
Mm-hmm.
is broke.
Right. Well, see, and this is what gets me, and this continues to get me, is people do not understand the echoing of this. With the majority of people working from home today, with the majority of small businesses working from home, that no longer are able to do that in that area, they're going to have to move. I mean,
Yeah.
I've told the story where I found a beautiful home here and couldn't buy it because it didn't have internet.
Right. Well, here's the problem. Here's the legitimate problem. It's not that they can no longer do it. They've never been able to do it.
Right.
They can't do it. Or
Right.
we're doing it on the back of satellite internet or
Right.
wireless cellular data.
Right.
Which is, for running a business, is like, I hear banjos, okay?
Right.
This is not a business class service. This does not allow your community
Right.
to grow. This is a reason, like you said, that you don't buy a house here.
Right.
Because you got to kiss your business goodbye.
Right.
Because you're basically at the equivalent of living in green fucking acres,
Right.
climbing the goddamn telephone pole and making a phone call to run your business.
Right.
No one locates a business there.
Right.
Or you stand in line waiting for the stupid credit card machine.
Right.
Just to get the authorization, because it might as well have 2 cups and a string.
Right.
This is not going to be sustainable for businesses.
Right.
Moving into the future. It just isn't.
Right.
Like, we have heavily adopted technology in running our businesses. People have heavily adopted technology in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say that, we're talking about things like credit cards.
Yeah.
Hi. Tap to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that, guys? You cannot do this on dial-up or at dial-up speeds. And you think this is the height of it? Like, this is as good as it gets.
Right.
Like, we are never going to have a better payment system
Right.
than what we have right now. Okay, cool. Because that payment system is only about 30 years old.
Exactly.
And this is how much we have gone from an original credit card.
Mm-hmm.
That was a thing that people commonly had, and debit cards, which hit in the 90s. And from that to where we are today, tap to pay, pay with your watch, I don't know. We're probably moving into like other wearables and other things, if that even becomes a requirement.
Right.
Blink to pay might be a thing. I don't know where this is going. Neither does anyone. As we keep moving through this, you're going to see a close sign pop up all over the map.
Right.
Forget AT&T's more bars in more places, which was always a scam. It's going to be closed for business all over the map.
Right.
Because AT&T don't do shit.
Exactly. And continue not to do shit. All right. So since AT&T is an asshole, let's figure out if you're one.
All righty. This should be a fun one. Oh, do we want to take a break before we run it?
No, let's go ahead and just run it.
Okay. Am I the asshole for kicking my friend out of a car because he was turning off my dash cam? I have 3 cameras for my car, 1 forward facing, 1 rear, and 1 for the cabin. My friend doesn't like the fact that I have a cabin camera because it violates his privacy. I told him that he doesn't have to get in my car for free rides, and he's more than welcome to use Uber or take the bus to where we're supposed to meet up. While I was driving us to a restaurant, I noticed him messing with my dash cam. I installed it on the passenger side, and I told him to knock it off or I'm kicking him out. And during a red light, I checked my dash cam and noticed that it was shut off. I quickly turned into a parking lot and told him to leave my car. He said, seriously, over a camera? You're such a creep to be recording us all the time. You don't need an inside camera. This is the same dude who can't drive anymore because he has gotten multiple tickets, including driving while using a phone. He stormed out of the car and cussed me for making him get an Uber ride home. Edit, getting accused of being weird for recording passengers. I've uploaded a picture of where my interior camera is located at and pointed towards. Only the main unit is on the passenger side, and that camera records the outside. The camera inside primarily records the driver, which is me. I don't even think I need the clarification.
I don't either. It's your car.
It's your car.
Yeah.
I understand people may be uncomfortable with this, and I it's a choice people can make for a variety of reasons. If you're doing Uber or Lyft, this is about your safety.
Mm-hmm.
This is about having, proof and evidence of wrongdoing while operating a service where you drive to strangers' houses, pick them up, and drop them off at other strange places.
Right.
Any number of things can happen. Even if you're not doing that, it is still an option that you have for your own personal safety.
Well, in today's time.
In a world where road rage incidents are getting prolific.
Right. And it's the interior camera is the main unit is controlled to show the driver's side of the car. Why is this important? Because how many times do we have officers that accuse people of doing things they shouldn't be?
Well, and more to the point, and I'm not sure that OP understands this or if their system is a continuous record.
Yes.
For most, it's a continuous monitoring device that only records when you hit the button or specific situations occur, like a sudden deceleration, a wild change in direction, or any kind of impact. And so it is recording at all times, but it is overriding continuously, except for protected files that you can either press a button and go save that, or when situations occur that are like, oh no.
Right. Well, the sewer dude, and I'm sorry, I don't know his name. That's his YouTube call out. He has a similar system in his work vehicles that record the driver, that record behind his truck, in front of his truck, the sides of his truck. And the number of times that he has, A, caught employees on cell phones, B, caught officers overuse of power, C, got insane driving is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can definitely follow a world argument, general opinion that you don't appreciate this and that you don't want to be part of it. And I think OP summed that up pretty clearly. Take an Uber or ride the bus, but quit fucking with my shit.
Exactly. Now, I do want to recommend to OP to include one of the driver's side window. Automatically be recording it.
Yeah. Well, and I think so. I'm going with not the asshole, of course. But I think for the friend who was kicked out of the car, you really need to stop and think about your position.
Right.
Because you're very quickly approaching a point in the world where in car, out of car, all around the car is basically going to become a black box.
Right.
Like, we are looking for more and more data surrounding crashes. We are looking to exploit the electronics on vehicles to help with everything from police pursuit to, becoming a cop itself and
Right.
recording aberrant and inappropriate behavior on the road. There are now the possibility for so many cameras on a car that you
Right.
get autonomous driving.
Right.
And it all functionally goes to a black box unit.
Right.
So if you're going to take this approach, I don't want to be a part of this.
Right.
One, I don't think you're going to get an Uber or a bus in which you're not going to be on camera.
Right.
But more to the point, this is the now. This is
Right.
the future. Unless you're riding in something that is older with
Right.
someone who has decided this isn't for them, if you're using any kind of commercial service like Uber, like Lyft,
Right.
like buses, like so commercial or municipal service, you're going to be on camera.
Right.
Like this will any which way you go, buddy.
Right.
So you need to figure it out,
Right.
or get off grid now
Exactly.
while you can.
I think that someone now this is UK, that you're on CC camera every moment of your day.
Grace. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to see that more so here. And this is now a safety issue for many Americans.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is they're recording for their own safety.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like they're opting in.
Yes.
Now, there are issues and privacy concerns, especially with more technology in vehicles, that consumers are not opting into.
Right.
That in some instances, they're not aware the total capacity of.
Right.
That they're thinking it's just a monitoring system, and it is not.
Right.
So you have instances like Tesla's being impounded.
Right.
As evidence. We have covered that, I believe, on this show, or it may have been Coffee Shop. Most likely this show, though.
Right.
And that is very problematic. But this specifically is talking about the technology people are opting in
Right.
to have for their protection, their safety, their convenience, their whatever.
Right.
And yes, if you're a passenger in that car, one, you do not fuck with someone else's car.
Right.
The total rule of riding as a passenger in anyone's car is sit down, shut the fuck up, buckle up, and keep your goddamn hands to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
At least those are the rules for my car. Otherwise, you find yourself in a parking lot.
Right.
Yeah. If you don't like it, don't ask for a free ride.
Exactly.
Good life choices.
Great. All right. So we're going to do, the poll is up. Go ahead and click that poll if you got a vote. And let's move over to Ask A Bros Over 30.
Oh boy, we got one. So all right, Ask A Bros Over 30. I'm a bear. And by the way, the OP is 35 to 39. I'm a bear, and my boyfriend is suddenly obsessed with weight. As I mentioned in the title, I'm a bear. My boyfriend of 2 years is an otter. I'm heavy, but I exercise daily, am generally healthy, and feel good about my body. He's slimmer, and he has a job that keeps him on his feet, but otherwise doesn't get out very much and spends most of his time off playing video games in bed. He is exclusively into bears. I honestly don't care about body type. I just think my boyfriend is hot. Recently, my boyfriend put on a little bit of weight. Nothing major. His clothes still fit fine, but one of his coworkers noticed and started making fun of him relentlessly. My boyfriend took this to heart and decided he was going to lose the extra weight. I think my boyfriend still looks sexy as fuck, and I told him so. But I also was supportive of him dropping some weight if he wanted. The problem is how he's gone about the whole thing. He has decided to radically change his diet such that he's skipping most meals. Ooh. And when he does eat, he's just eating things like rice and porridge. Ooh. which fill him up without providing any nourishment. As a result, he's tired all of the time and has started sleeping through time we would otherwise spend together. I've tried to talk to him about his habits, but nothing I say seems to faze him. When I mention his low energy, he says he just doesn't get enough sleep. He's getting more than 8 hours most days. When I encourage more balanced meals, I'm ignored. When I suggest adding exercise to his routine instead of just skipping meals, he complains that he doesn't have the energy to exercise. It has become really apparent that he doesn't believe my opinions on this topic are valid because I am a heavy guy. Moreover, the way he talks about the whole thing is very off-putting to me. He's constantly saying how he feels the weight is so incredibly unattractive. And when I mention that that's hard to hear as a bear, he seems confused. As his boyfriend, constantly hearing how he sees extra weight on himself as unattractive has made me so self-conscious. He says, "But you know, I think you're sexy, right?" But I don't feel that way hearing him constantly talking about how being overweight is so unattractive. It's even harder when I respond that I find him sexy at his current weight, and he basically tells me I'm delusional to find him attractive with a little extra weight. The fact that he finds the opinion of his attractiveness from this guy from work so much more valuable than mine is extremely hard to deal with. I've tried ignoring the topic altogether with him, but when I do that, he insists that this is really important to him right now. It makes me feel like shit to see him skipping meals, going around with no energy, and talking about how extra weight makes him feel unattractive. All while making it clear that while I'm supportive of healthy changes, if they don't make him and me unhappy, he doesn't really care about my opinion. What do I do? Is there a better way for me to talk about this with him? Oh, edited to add. So my boyfriend found this post pretty much immediately, and he felt like I had gotten a few things wrong, and I want to be fair to him, so here is his response. Okay, I'm sorry that's how it's been interpreted, but that wasn't accurate. When you diet, you feel hungry because you aren't having as much as you need to. I never said I'd been skipping meals ever. I always eat before work and during work, or on my days off, I have either 2 meals or one big meal if I wake up late. Yes, I know that's lots of rice and porridge pots aren't nutritionally good for me, but I'm still trying to figure out how to make it all work. It wasn't just joking that something, it is multiple people, and maybe that's because it wasn't just this coworker that said something. It has been multiple people, and maybe that's because my work friend is terrible, but I genuinely didn't fit into some of my clothes.
Okay, first off, get with the program, dude. What I mean by that, and we've done that.
Oh, like there's issues here. Yeah.
Okay, there is many issues. Yeah, get him a Snicker.
Yeah, someone needs a Snicker. They're hangry.
Yes,
and hangry at themselves, which is worse. Right. And then literally doing everything to make sure they gain weight.
Yeah,
that's where OP is at. Is like, first of all, your self opinions aside, your decision to do this, which I am fine to support, I'm having problems with. Because the things that you are doing are nutritionally incompetent for the results you wish to achieve. So, what the fuck?
Exactly. We see this very often in the bear, otter, wolf community. A lot. Okay. You know, about the same time I started my weight loss journey, not my gluten-free journey, but my weight loss journey, another friend got a divorce, And the first thing he did was hit the diet.
Yes.
I'm doing low carb, no carb. He's doing watermelon.
Mhm.
I'm losing weight gradually and naturally. He's shrinking down like everything and selling it to me. Worse than a used car salesman.
And granted, I much like OP on this post, I'm sitting over here going, this is bad, don't do that, please don't do that.
Right.
Do the gradual decline,
Mhm.
do a balanced diet. No carb is probably a bad idea, but as long as you're getting vegetables, technically those are carbs, so I will support it.
Right.
They're good carbs. They're not just like, here's your flour-based carbs.
Right.
And that's an important distinction there.
Right.
Because like if you're talking about like, I'm on a diet and I'm going to eat tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of heavy carbohydrate loading pasta and bread,
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to work so well.
Right.
Like, corn syrup is not your friend.
No.
Like, sodas are not your friend.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's a weird one, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
First, the thing is, diets aren't designed for everybody. No diet is correct. You have to form your own diet. For me right now, I'm getting about 4 grams of protein a meal.
Mm-hmm.
That makes some really thick sandwiches sometimes, but at least 4 grams of protein a meal. And the rest of my plate, I try to fill up with vegetables. Why? Is because I am gluten intolerant. So that means I'm lacking a lot of the stuff that is built into bread. You'd be surprised at the crap they put in bread now. Because the vegetables...
Yeah. Oh, it's not built in. It's added to enriched white flour. These are important words. We add because it is such a vital component to the quote unquote average American diet that we eat all this flour because it is cheap food. It is the primary ingredient in cheap food. So we fortify it so that the majority of the population eating cheap food basically gets the equivalent of a Flintstone.
Right.
Your mileage will vary with that, but go with it.
Right. So instead, I'm loading vegetables. I'm making sure I'm getting broccoli at least once a day. I'm making sure I get some squash in there. I'm making sure I get a lot of onions because onions have a lot of minerals in them. A lot of peppers, a lot of garlic. Joe's over here being the best supportive husband I have ever had with any weight loss. He's like, are you going to the gym today? That type of thing. He's never made a comment about weight up, weight down, because I've gone both ways.
Yeah. I've done a lot of support on the, like, your weight goes up 2 pounds and you're like, I'm going to have a nervous breakdown right now. And it's like, honey.
Right.
It's 2 pounds.
Right.
Breathe through the body changes. Like, that could be an increase in muscle mass. That can be water retention. That can be a lot of things. Let it play out. Not a freak out.
Right. But at the same time, just Joe. Joe is whatever size he wants to be. Because I've seen him at 38s and I have seen him at 48s going into 50s. He's like, I ain't going to the gym. I'll eat what I damn well want. He's been supportive in some diets, and he's like, I can't do cauliflower one more time.
Yeah, I can't do cauliflower, and I will stop you from a diet like the one that was previously mentioned. Yeah, like here's the thing, and I know it seems counterintuitive to people. If you're so big, why do you think I should listen to your advice on health and nutrition and weight loss? And it's like, motherfuckers, who the fuck do you think they sell this shit to?
Exactly.
Who do you think they're writing these books for?
Right.
Who do you think they are selling these deal meals and Nutrisystems and all this shit for?
Right.
Weight loss surgeries. Like, do you understand the amount of crap by adulthood? Like, as in before adulthood, by the time you turn 18, as someone who was an obese child, do you understand the number of doctors you have talked to, the number of nutritionists you have talked to, the number of books you have had thrown in your face, the number of systems, programs, plans, diets, bad diets that you have been put on, usually against your will. But even if you are trying to engage with it and be like, I want to do this, I want to make this happen, I like, this is now a priority for me, that you go through this over and over and over, and you see it is almost impossible, as someone who has gone through it multiple times and has eventually ended up at I'm really not any different than I was when I started, to figure out and hack through the idea of what the hell's wrong with all this shit.
Right. Well, what hit me and what has been insane to me is, sit down with my fitness trainer and he's like, these are the number of calories you need. I don't care how you get them. These are the number of calories you need.
And what happens when you don't get them?
I feel like shit. Yeah. I don't lose weight.
And do you go to the gym? Do you make it to the gym?
Not often. Yeah.
And this is the thing, because it's this thing is like, we have this conventional wisdom of put down the fork, fat ass, you'll lose weight.
Right.
And we've heard this and told this and done this to every person of size that you will ever meet has heard this multiple times in their life. I don't care how young they are, they've already heard it. Or some variant thereof that is put down the fork, quit eating, back away from the table, have heard it all. The problem being, and talk to a nutritionist if you don't believe the fat boy, when you stop eating, your body will metabolically hibernate. It is the same effect of a bear in the middle of winter who has not eaten, popping up in the spring and having food. Your body doesn't go, oh, thank you so much, I really appreciate this food. It goes, thank fucking Jesus, we were goddamn starving.
Pack it in, pack it up.
Pour that in.
Right.
So over time, what you end up doing is taking someone who is a little overweight and making them a little more overweight and a little more overweight and a little more overweight, and struggling harder and harder every single time.
Right, because they get it wrong.
The body. Yeah, you're telling the body, feast or famine. Feast and famine. What are we built as human beings for? After however many years since cave men, feast and famine. This is how we survive genetically. These are predisposed genetics that need turned off in a world full of food, but they're still there, actively working, like they did for thousands of years to keep us alive and safe and happy and supported through feast and famine. When you trigger that, you become really good at surviving famine. You start to really suck at surviving feast without growing larger.
Right. Well, and what he said was, you need 2,200 calories. Not 1,800, not 1,600, not 1,200, 2,200 calories. You need this amount of protein.
Breakdown.
Right. And I'm eating all the food I can freaking get in me. We're tracking calories accurately because we're scanning labels. And he goes, do you not drink soda? Do you not have snacks? Like, you don't even have a fucking candy bar here.
Yeah.
Like, what's your problem? And I'm like,
I think it was a reaction of like, stop lying to me.
right.
This can't be real. And it's like, no, that's what he's doing. And then it's the, are you trying to hurt yourself?
Right. Because I'm doing the perfect diet.
Perfect.
Well, too perfect. But for like 5 years, there was not soda in this house. So if he wanted a soda, he had to go buy one.
Excuse me, guys. Excuse me. Yeah.
Like, I didn't keep chips in the house. We didn't keep. He hates Little Debbie's. We don't keep snack cakes. We still don't keep snack cakes.
Well, there are certain things that I'm like, I just don't want it in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like I will find myself eating it because I'm bored.
Mm-hmm.
And it tastes good, and it's a dopamine hit. And it's like it's to me, it's kind of like this moment of like, if I had a substance abuse problem with crack, maybe we shouldn't put crack in the house.
Right.
Like, maybe I shouldn't have easy access and availability.
Right.
So no, there are some things that I'm like, no, we don't keep that in the house. We don't stock that.
Right.
Because I will eat it.
Right.
And sometimes very mindlessly.
Mm-hmm. So, when I started having my gluten intolerance, I went to the only thing I could keep down, which was Coca-Cola.
Mm-hmm.
I keep that in the house now.
And that one's been a little bit of a problem for me because I do see it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab a Coke.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't. I don't really want it, but I want it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I get shit every time I go to the Dollar General. So I want to talk about this. Energy drinks.
Yes. Oh my God, you've gotten so much crap over those.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's weird. It's weird. The trainer loves them.
Yes.
Not because of the caffeine. He's fuck that. I don't care. The micronutrients and all the things that go into it.
Folic acid, B12, all this stuff that I'm not getting in my diet, I can get out of an energy drink. He even recommended it, and I have it in there for when I get done at the gym. It's called Recovery by Monster.
Mm-hmm.
Down one of those.
And it was so funny because you were like, this is like, I'm being bad. I'm so bad.
Yeah, because I'm killing like 2 energy drinks and it's only 300 calories. And I'm like, if it gets me to that 2,200, because I'm tired of hearing him bitch about 2,200 calories. And he's like, about time you started doing your diet. And, on that list is like 2 energy drinks, a Coke.
Could you please exist
a bowl of chips, because at one time I was literally only, I think there for about 2 months, I was getting only about 800 calories, if that, a day.
And and it was a struggle. And it was a struggle.
Yeah.
Because like you were doing reasonable sizes of protein, you were doing like lots of servings of vegetables. You were using like 0-calorie coffee flavorings. You like everything you were doing was exactly what like we tell people. You want to lose weight, here's your diet food, like here's how you eat, here's what you're supposed to do. And it fails people.
Right.
Because you're inadvertently, if you try to jerk someone down too quickly, it kicks off this hibernation reaction. Your body thinks you're in trouble. You are stuck in a cave. It is a blizzard. So if you get any food, you're gonna die.
Right.
Like, is how your body acts. If you get any food, any nutrition at all, it takes the bare minimum it can, drops your body to a minimal functional status. Like you get tired and sleepy, and you're lethargic. All of this is intentional by your body to keep you from wasting energy and burning fat.
Right.
Because fat'll keep you warm, fat'll keep you fed. Fat'll keep you alive.
Right. So what my trainer says is eat every 2.5 hours. Don't care what it is, taking calories every 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee, Coke, chips, candy bars. And I'm like, I'm not supposed to have chips, candy bars, Cokes.
And he's looking at you going, what idiot told you that?
Well, he's looking at you going, okay, so are you from the 1940s again?
Yeah. And Devin points out diet sodas are worse than regular sodas. You're better off having a regular soda and just limiting how much you have. Here's the thing there. Diet sodas, and I'm wholeheartedly there, but I'm not trying to give medical advice, nutritional advice per se, because that gets into a very sticky category
Right.
of nutritional advice. And here's the reason. Technically, diet soda
and the lower sugar content, waiting for him to catch up here. All right. And, the other thing with diet sodas is it doesn't have the micronutrients.
Right. But the lower sugar content should be
Right.
better for you and would support a weight loss journey. The problem is the replacement sugars trick the body.
Mm-hmm.
And they're actually, while they may help you lose weight in the short term, the chemical effects that we have seen out of those artificial sweeteners is tricking the body and confusing the fuck out of it as to what are you eating? Do I need to release insulin? What is my pancreatic function supposed to be? And what the hell is going on?
Right.
Because every time I try to treat this like a sugar,
it doesn't burn like a sugar.
It doesn't work.
Right.
So then it stops treating it like a sugar, and then it's confused because it's like, wait, there's not sugars? Right. Or they're like, why are you eating that much not sugar?
Well, like, and what he does is actually take it and stick it in a box and go, okay, we'll just put this over in this junk box here called your thighs.
Yeah. And that is probably the key concern that one needs to have about rapid weight loss.
Right.
Like, please, I don't care if a diet says you're going to lose 20 pounds a week, and so you can be in that dress by summer, or that bathing suit by summer. Rapid weight loss is, one, not sustainable. It is not good on your body. It is hard on your kidneys. It is hard on your liver. It will do more damage. And your heart. It will do more damage than good. It'll also continue to screw with your body's ability to self-regulate. What I mean by that is your body's ability to figure out when it is actually hungry, when it is actually full, and you're going to end up spending a lot of time having to untrain your body and your brain and get them to talk again in order to have a normal interaction with food.
Right. And, what my trainer said, and Devin's digging in, and we're going to dig into this in a minute. But what my trainer said is eat whatever you want. Eat it in moderation. Yeah. When a 44-ounce, because when I was in nursing and dancing, I had this really bad habit. I would hit the 7-Eleven, I would get their largest cup, I would fill it with ice, and I would fill it up with Coke. And that got me through my shift until I got to the bar. And I fell back into that habit, and my weight keeps dropping.
And let me guess, and then every time you got hungry, you took a smoke break and smoked a cigarette.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the other connection. And it's one of the other connections. I know you have your own thoughts on, smoking harmful, is smoking not harmful. We're not getting into that. What we're going to get into is creating this repetitive pattern and noticing a pattern. A lot of your heaviest dieters, the people that were trying to lose the 5, trying to lose the 10, trying to lose the 20, trying to make the rapid weight loss change, end up being smokers before it's over with.
Yep.
Because smoking will help to turn off the signal to your brain that you're hungry. It's not forever, but it will reinforce the smoking. You will start to engage this idea that you're not hungry, you need a fucking cigarette. You're not hungry, you need a cigarette. Because that's what you trained your body to do. I'm hungry, I'm going to go smoke a cigarette. Because there's a little bit of sugar and some other things. Nicotine will generally decrease appetite and hunger. But there is like a little bit of sugar you get from burning the tobacco. A little bit. And it's enough to trick your body for a minute into thinking you did the thing. Meanwhile, all the pleasure and dopamine centers of your brain light up like a fucking Christmas tree. It's happy and satiated, at least for a couple hours. At best.
But no, I have this habit, and I've fallen back into this habit because the Invisible went to work at a gas station. I pick him up from work. I grab me a 44-ounce soda, fill it with ice, fill it with soda, and pop it down on my desk, and I empty that. What do you think the conversation with my trainer was?
We'll take it away.
Do you fill it with ice? Yeah, great. You're getting your water in. You're getting about 36 ounces of water. You're supposed to have 40. You're great.
As long as you finish it.
Yes. As long
that
as
is the problem. That is your biggest problem. You like an ice cold Coke.
Yes.
Right up until the point that about 20% of that ice melts.
Right.
And once you break 21% of that ice melting, you're done. It tastes horrible. You're not finishing it.
Yeah.
It is now flat.
Well, actually, it's ice that I don't get to finish because my alarm goes off because he's bitching about you got to get 9 hours of sleep if you're on a train. 9 hours of sleep if you're on a train. So I have an alarm that goes off. That's my max time of being awake.
Yes. So, yes, you got a good boy from your trainer.
Every time I think I'm fucking up with him, he's like, nah, you're doing good.
That's the thing. So Devin says, I stopped drinking diet sodas. I feel they were causing stomach issues for me, having no gallbladder. I cut diet sodas out and just really limit my soda intake and drink more water.
Right.
And Devin also says, I agree, Joe. My brother ran into that after his gastric bypass. He gained a lot of weight back due to his diet tea intake.
Right. And
yeah, that's a double damn.
His diet tea.
Just to note, that's like a double damned. When you do the gastric bypass, you're already physically limited. And if you're using something like a diet tea, which is already going to piss off your body, you're taking that limited capacity, filling it up so you don't eat. So then you're not eating the way you're supposed to eat.
Right.
Like, and your body's going to be sitting here going, wait a minute, what do we do? Again, because gastric bypass is predominantly built around the same idea that the nutritional solution to being overweight is to put down the fork and back away from the table. And it's like, it's not that simple. We need food to live. You will fuck people up if you try to make a solution that's just about put down the fork and step away from the table. Now, put down the fork on the, oh my God, no one should be eating that because it is a cardiac event waiting to happen. Good advice. But we have to actually change our relationship with food. We have to understand what we're eating, why we're eating it, how we're eating it, when we're eating it, and when we are actually full. Like, you really have to start listening to your body. You cannot mindlessly eat.
Right. And that's the problem with artificial sweeteners. And what I mean by artificial sweeteners, I'm talking the sweet and low, not the blue one, but the yellow one also. Both of those together, you know what they were used for originally? Is an additive to cattle feed.
Well, you've got a few ones going on because you've got ones that were additives to cattle, like they're all chemical based. Which, granted, everything in the world is chemical. It's a chemical world, like we have expressed everything in chemicals. H2O is water. H2O2 is hydrogen peroxide. Like, we have common names and blah.
Right.
I like process all that and be careful when you say it's just chemicals. Everything's fucking chemical. Okay. We just choose which ones we call by a chemical name and which ones we have already created commonly known names for. So in that idea, though, some of these were specifically developed for a purpose.
Right.
And oops, we happen to find out that like sorbitol, a baby laxative, is really super sweet.
Right.
You need way less than sugar, but like on a one, it's not 1-to-1 by any stretch.
Right.
You need like a drop per cup,
right,
or somewhere in that neighborhood for the equivalencies. So it is a cheap chemical to make. It is cheaper than sugar. It is easy to chemically add or to process add. Mechanically add is what I'm trying to say, to food. It's easy. It's super simple. It's great. Meanwhile, because we have convinced people you're the problem, you're stupid, you don't know what you're doing, you need all this diet stuff because you can't be trusted with real food. Not only do you get to replace the nutritional components of food with alternatives, you get to then slap a diet label on it and sell it for 3 times the cost of a normal meal in half the quantity and make people sicker.
Yes.
Who then blame themselves more, perpetuate the diet cycle, perpetuate trying to lose weight through failed methods, the invariants of failed methods, and then you just lock into the cycle.
Right.
It is frightening to me that no one has ever stopped to consider, or seemingly no one has ever stopped to consider, how many of the health issues attached to obesity are not about being large or larger than itself on its own, and are attached to continuously starving yourself, eating things that you would not normally eat as a human being, except for you have been slapped a label on and told it's your problem and you're stupid and you need to fix it, and repeatedly stressing your body. How many? How easy would it be for the problem not to be the extra weight itself, but everything you've ever done and all the stress you're putting on yourself, all the things you're consuming that taste horrible, don't help you, make the problem worse, and all the things you've taught your body from that, accumulating into a problem. Like, how easy would that be? Like, how much do you think you can harm yourself if, like, because we have this problem with eggs. Okay? Simple study said, oh, eggs are horrible. No one should eat eggs. Eggs are bad for you. They raise your cholesterol. They're going to kill you. Stop eating eggs. No one needs to eat eggs. Eggs are horrible. Then everyone stopped eating eggs. We took eggs out of the diet. We took them off the breakfast menu. We relegated them to a special treat. We're not making deviled eggs this year. No one should eat eggs. Eggs are horrible. And everyone's cholesterol levels went to hell. We sold a lot of drugs for high cholesterol. only to run subsequent studies and figure out that dietary cholesterol does not equate to body cholesterol levels, except that it will prevent the control hormones or the control enzymes, I forget which one it is, from releasing that regulates your cholesterol level. Oops. We gave people high cholesterol. That's what we did when we said eggs are horrible, don't eat eggs.
Right. But that was a lobbying program by the sugar people.
Oh, no. That was a different program. Yeah, no. The reason that meat is bad and you're not supposed to eat meat was because we wanted to, because of fat in the diet, that what we wanted to do was not blame the sugar industry for all the sugar they were adding and faux sugars and, you know, all the crap they were doing with high fructose corn syrup,
right,
which is a multi-trillion-dollar industry at this point, I'm sure. We blamed it on the meat people. It's all that meat with fat on it. You need to eat lean meat. You need to eat more lean meat. All this fat on your meat is killing you.
Right.
Wrong. It was the sugar.
Right.
Post-war diets became sugar-laden.
Right.
We put that shit on everything. We became the hot sauce woman with sugar in quantities that were insane. Now we have a world that thinks everything tastes nasty unless you add sugar.
Right. All right, darling. So the poll is in. Coffee cup is empty. And it's been determined you're not the asshole this week for having cameras in your car.
Not the asshole. I'm surprised. I really am. I can't understand.
I know, right? All right, guys. So we also talked about our diets being more complex than Facebook post wants to see. And with that, y'all, good night, y'all. We'll see you on Monday.
Oh, we got people.
Yes, we do.
Run that beautiful bean footage. All right, so of course we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Brenda, Joan Owen, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Caitlin Bell, Devin, Bella, and Maria Meyer. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes. All right, guys. We'll see you on Monday. Bye, y'all.
Bye.